Kaka was a very, I would say, very strong orator, and he had visited the West several times to speak about Meher Baba. After Baba dropped his body. So we remember him wholeheartedly today on his birthday. Okay. Second thing, last time our dear Dattuji was asking what is this photograph about. So I just want to put it on the screen. I don't know whether are you able to see it. This is the photograph of the five perfect masters and Meher Baba in the center. Okay. So Dattuji wanted to know what that is. So I'm just
Okay, thank you. Thank
doing it
you.
for all of us. Yeah, thanks a lot. Number three is that over the last several years, maybe more than 30, 35 years, Soumya and I have been concentrating on what we call as reading of Baba's words. We were only reading Baba's words and trying to interpret them as best as we can. We are making a little deviation this time because I have received some calls saying that we've been doing a lot of so-called, heavy stuff like samskaras, death and immortality, and something to do with God speaks and something to do with the planes of consciousness. Why can't we do something light and fluffy? So I found this book, Conversations with the Awakener. As I said earlier, it's a series of 4 conversations with the Awakener, more conversations with the Awakener, intimate conversations with the Awakener, and flowing conversations with the Awakener. They've all been written by Bal Natu after Baba dropped this body. So obviously we know Bal Natu was Baba's Mandali, and so he is referring to Baba as the Awakener because Baba himself said, I have come not to teach but to awaken. So obviously he becomes the Awakener. And the beauty of this book is nowhere there is a name of Meher Baba or even Baba. I personally found, and I'm sure Soumya also, it's a very nice book. It brings up a lot of emotional turmoil that we all go through in life, and what has the Awakener, the Meher Baba Awakener, has to tell about that. So we are going to read this. We are just experimenting with something which is other than Baba's words. And if it runs smoothly, we'll try to finish all the 4 books. Otherwise, we'll once again jump back to Baba's words, reading of Baba's words. So now Bal Natu, as we all know, those who know, he was Baba's Bandli, and Baba had said about him that he would get mukti, he would be liberated, that this is his last life. And he was a very, I would say, very loving, very genial, very soft-spoken person. And those who have met him, we all know, and always having not so good health, right? So now talking about not so good, okay, anyway, there's another prayer, but I don't want to go into that now. I know a merchant will say, I sent you 2 prayers, but you have said only 1. But never mind. So here we are going to read this first book called Conversations with the Awakener. This is the book Conversations with the Awakener, Bal Natu. We'll start with dedication, preamble, and then the first chapter. Go ahead. And sorry, I won't be speaking too much on this. I hope I don't. I do say that, but I keep speaking a lot. Let her read, and wherever I feel I can just interject and add to it, I will try to do that. Go ahead.
Dedicated to you, the Awakener of all hearts, and to all those who are seeking you wholeheartedly and honestly. Beyond words, beyond silence, awakened awareness are you. Balancing creation by your presence, accept this offering unto you.
So that's the dedication. And the important words are that one must be sincere and one must be honest in loving Baba. There should be no bargaining. There should wholehearted. There should be no what is in it for me, no bargaining, nothing. Just full focus on loving him. Go ahead.
Preamble. Are these conversations true or false, real or imaginary? What can I say? To me, These are the most intimate and glowing reflections of God's presence in the mirror of my heart. Isn't that possible? One thing is certain: these dialogues have filled my being with unexpected, overpowering joy, and the madness of it has emboldened me to share these with others. My sincere, warm hearted thanks to those dear friends who lovingly and patiently cooperated with me in this adventure. Now it is for the readers to rejoice in or laugh at these dialogues. Anyway, that should be fun.
So here in the preamble, God's presence in the mirror of my heart. Because ultimately, wherever you may search, ultimately he is to be found in the heart of each one of us. So why not directly go and search for him in our own hearts rather than go here and there? That was one aspect of it. And the other thing is that he says that it doesn't matter to me. It has been so overwhelmingly joyful, the journey, that whether you laugh at these conversations or you enjoy these conversations, it doesn't matter to me. It has flooded my entire being. So that's what the preamble says. Now I think that Tuji has a question. That Tuji, your hand is raised up. Do you want to ask something?
Yes, yes.
Please.
This is this book available PDF format online from the trust website?
I think it is. Yes, I think it is.
Merchant,
But I'm not very sure about it. But I
No.
think it is. No, I think it is. It's very recently they have added this series as well. Yes.
Okay, okay. That will help us. Thank you.
yeah, please have it. It's a
Now,
beautiful
now,
book.
now, this is my very favorite chapter, the very first chapter, and I always say that the very first book, the very first chapter, the very first paragraph, and the very first line. It is so powerful. So as we read through it, let us read it with the heart. Let us enjoy every word of it, because somehow we rejoiced when we read it. There are very few books that we actually rejoice, in reading. Intellectually, it's a different matter altogether, but this is from the heart. So let's read it.
The chapter is titled A Simple Solution. How great a sin can you forgive? I asked you in one of my darkest moments. Until this day, no one has committed a sin so great that I am unable to pardon it, answered a soft, loving voice.
Imagine, I remember saying this, that ever since the time of creation, no man has committed such a sin that Baba is unable to forgive. You see, so we all need to understand that whosoever we may be, whatsoever our past may be, we are accepted by Baba in as is, where is condition. I used to always say, like an OLX, when you sell your stuff out on the app OLX, it is as is, where is condition. As we are, the important thing is, in my understanding, to be determined to be his. That these are Erachi's words, that we belong to Baba and Baba belongs to me. That should be the feeling which we have to create within ourselves, that I belong to Baba. No matter what I am, I belong to Baba, and that Baba is mine. That possessiveness about Baba should be there in each one of us, that Baba belongs to me. That is how we create a channel between us and the Lord. And once that channel is established, and constantly, to and fro conversation happens within the heart, obviously, then we are on very safe grounds. Go ahead.
Then how much merit, I mumbled haltingly, must one earn to win your glance? The merits of all people put together are not enough to win even a sideways glance from me, reverberated the response. Then how can I ever hope to see you? I stammered, despairingly.
Okay.
Despairingly. What? I heard a ripple of laughter filled with compassion. Don't be stupid. It is simple. I was shocked and surprised and emboldened myself to ask, what do you mean simple? Are you joking with me? No, it's really very simple. This confounded me all the more. I cried within my heart. I don't understand what you mean, and I am also amazed. Where does this voice come from? The answer came. It is from the fathomless depth within you, my child, where you are not, but I am. May I go now? Please don't leave me in this state of anguish and confusion, you said. It's simple, but what is the secret that will open my heart to this simplicity? Your voice deepened and became increasingly profound. The secret is, why think of sin? Why think of merit? Just think of me. Am I not the most intimate one, the most compassionate one within you? Bye. With these words, the voice receded within me totally. This gracious assurance, however, continues to ring in my ears, nay, my entire being. What a simple solution, but how difficult to live it.
So here the important thing is, here Baba says, my child, where you are not, but I am. There was a you can see a poster in our Bombay Center many years back. Now we have renovated, where it was mentioned, that God is 1 minute. Huh? No, 1 minute, 1 minute. God is where you are not, and you are where God is not. Words to the effect. I'm sorry, I tend to forget. So, in other words, many people were just confused. How can you say that where I am, God is not there, and where God is, you are not there? So, basically, where our egocentric aham, we call it false ego mind is there, then God is not there. Where that is absent, God is there. So, that is. Sorry, that's correct. Where you are, God is not. Where God is, you are not. So that those were the placard at our center. So we must understand that the moment our ego comes into anything that we do, then God recedes in the background. And the other question here is, Baba says that it is the most simple thing. And Baba always says that it is so simple that is what makes it complicated, because we are so accustomed to complex things. Our mind wants something. Our mind wants something complex. We are in the process of doing. We don't want to be, just be. So here Baba says it is most simple. And what is that simplicity? Baba says that okay.
Why think of sin?
Why think of sin? Sins, we commit sins day in and day out. Why think of sins? Why think of merit? Just think of me. Because when we think of him, all the other aspects of our being, whether it is right, wrong, good, bad, virtuous, vicious, they all dissolve in the heat of the love of the Lord. So he says, why do you get into all this unnecessary rigmarole? Why are you getting entrapped in all this? This is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, and all that. Just think of me. So this is the first chapter where Baba says the chapter is a simple solution. The solution is that we are expected to constantly think about him and not bother about anything. And another important thing, as I said, the very first sentence, that irrespective of what we are, what we have done in the past, we belong to Baba, period. And irrespective of who we are, it doesn't matter. He accepts us as we are. So, yes, Ram.
I have a clarification I need from you. You said the quote you mentioned from the Bombay Center.
Yeah.
Isn't it contrary to what Baba said? Baba said, I'm everything, I'm in everything.
Correct.
So how can he not be everywhere?
See, Baba is the contradiction himself. When Baba says, God, where you are, God is not. Where you means the you is the false identification, the false ego mind. So wherever the ego mind is there, there you cannot feel the presence of God. There is nowhere that Baba is not there. That I agree with you. But as we all know now, over a period of years, we have all matured that Baba is the master of contradictions. You see, if he is a master of everything, then he must be the master of contradictions also, because he's a master. So
Yeah,
here,
I agree.
but we have to interpret it in the right context. Where you are, that means where our aham
Ego
is
is.
there. Where you are, God is not. Where God is, you are not.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, yes, Mayor. Mayor, go ahead.
Cyrus uncle, I think you must be getting it. This one has been sending me blogs of how voices of the God. Do you get it?
No, no, no.
Thomas sends it.
No.
Sends it.
I don't hear any voices of the God. I only
But he sends that
the
thing.
noises of the world. All that.
No, it is a very nice. It is like what this thing. It is really nice. I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Thank you. See, the point, I think, since we are talking about the voice of God, the voice of God is something which you cannot overlook. It is very powerful. It may be very, very, very meek, but it feeble, but it is very strong. Now again, there's a contradiction. It's very feeble, and yet it is unmistakable. Today, in today's world, good that Mayor brought up this topic. There are many people, in hundreds, whom I know, they run blogs. And when they run blogs, each of them are claiming that Baba is speaking to them and giving some kind of messages and discourses and all that. I have nothing to say about that. I don't want to say I believe, I don't want to say I don't believe, because I'm not qualified to say that. I don't know. At least I don't get any such voices and messages. That much I know. So we have to be very careful, because many times, many people get hoodwinked, I would put that way, into thinking that it is Baba telling you certain things. Baba may be, because Baba has himself said that I speak through you all. So definitely. But we have to be very careful. We have to use, I'm repeating, we have to use our own heart's discretion in following those voices. Because Baba again himself has said, Baba had said, given some direction to somebody through the mandali, how to go about in the world, do this, don't do this. And then Baba underlying advice was, but whatever that comes from the mandali does not come from me. So you use your own heart's discretion and act accordingly. So don't follow any such people who say that Baba talks to me and follow them blindly, is what I would like to say. All right. Ram, your hand is still up. Would you like to ask anything more? Ramji.
No, I forgot to lower it.
Okay. So now we are going to the second chapter. Go ahead.
The game, what a game. To me, you are the personification of love and tranquility. So I concluded, since you were kind enough to accept me, now my life would flow on a wave of joy and clarity. But alas, I find that I am adrift on a raging sea of confusion. However, it is also true that when, owing to my confusion, I am caught in a whirlpool of despair from some hidden inner place, you push me to an island for a little rest. Thanks. But then, must you pull the island out from under me time and time again?
So this is the game which the beloved plays with the lover. And in one of the letters, Mani says honeymoon period. It's honeymooning. You see, where Baba will attract you. We say, like last time, say rock star, awesome. He's doing everything. I just think like this and Baba does it. That's good. But then sometimes, Baba would play a different game altogether. He will pull you towards himself and then again push you far away and make you pine for his togetherness, for his glance. So this is the game which the beloved constantly plays with each one of us. And Bal Natuji says that I thought you were the epitome, not the exact words, but epitome of tranquility, of joy, of peace, of all the so-called good things. But then all of a sudden I feel that I am in a quagmire. I am in a raging whirlpool of despair. And I just don't know. I feel that I am drowning. And that is the experience of many of the Baba lovers. And we always say that Baba will take you up to here. Water will come up to the nose level, but he will never make you drown. And then when you, at this level, when you call out to Baba with all your heart, with all your being, you find that automatically the water recedes. But then that game goes on and on. So here he says, I find that when I'm totally desperate, you bring an island for me, and I am resting now for an island. And I say, Baba, thank you. Thank God it's all over. But by the time you say over, it's not over, because Baba will pull the island again from under your feet. And once again, you are in the mid-ocean going up and down. So that's the game which the beloved plays.
When I first saw you, I believed that my destination was set and the journey safe. But what's this? How often I find myself in a cyclone of indecisiveness, even while trying to deal with ordinary things. But when I become so overwhelmed that I am truly helpless, something clearly my way leading to you. Yet, a little later, I am seized once more by the winds of indecisiveness.
So we become very indecisive. We don't know what to do. We are in a dilemma what to do. And he makes us so utterly helpless. And so we just cannot do anything but call out to him for help. And that is the time when he comes absolutely at the right time, the last moment, and helps us. But once again, so this is what we all feel. Why I like the book is we all go through this ups and downs in life. And what has Baba got to say about this, so that how we can handle our lives situation more impactfully, more powerfully, with more equanimity, with more poise. So that is what the book is all about.
Once I heard a song sung by your lover about the game you played with him. The last lines of the song often come back to me. Quote, in this game with you, each time I'm about to win, you make a simple move and checkmate me. Had I known this, I wonder if I would ever have dared to play these games with you, unquote. Was this lover complaining about you or glorifying you? It is still a puzzle to me.
So we also know that when Baba would play games with the Mandali, more particularly the card games, which we call Laris. Now, Laris is a card game, but the way it was played with the Lord was totally different. There could be 20 people, 25 people all around, and cards would be shuffled and then distributed to each one. And there would be two teams. One is Baba's team and one is the other person's team. The third one will again be Baba's team. The fourth one will be other person's team. The next one, the fifth one, would be again in Baba's team. So that is how the game would be played. But what is important is that Baba would cheat. Cheat in the sense he would always like to have the highest card in his hands. So that's what it is saying here. Here it says that in this game with you, each time I'm about to win, you make a simple move and checkmate me, because he is having the trump card. And this also reminds me of Samsha Tabriz and Maulana Rumi. They were both perfect masters of earlier times, you know. And Maulana Rumi was a very intellectual giant, and he had read a lot of books about spirituality, but he couldn't really find a master, and he couldn't really get realization, God realization. When ultimately he found Shams Tabriz, who was his master, you know, Shams asked Maulana Rumi to bring all the books, the library of intellectual, high sounding, philosophical, spiritual books, and he asked him to throw it in the well, just throw it in the well. And that is what he did, because he had to obey the master. And then the master brought out the entire lot of books, you know, without any wetness. It was not wet at all, although it went into the well and splashed into the water, you know. So he realized that he is a real master. And why I say this is that they had this habit of playing a game of chess. If those who play chess, we know about you know, what we call as checkmate and all that, you know. So every time it is Shamset Tabriz, the master, who would win the game. So he must have played it hundreds of times. And on one occasion, again, Maulana Rumi says, "Oh, I have lost again. Oh, I have lost again." And Shamset Tabriz says, "No, this time you have won." And when he says, "This time you have won," that was the moment when Shamset Tabriz gave God realization to Maulana Rumi. So that was the story. So here again it says, you know, you make a simple move and checkmate me. Had I known this, I wonder whether I would have dared to play these games with you. And Baba also used to play all sorts of games, but it should be ensured that Baba always had the trump card and Baba would always win the game. Sorry? Yeah. Sorry? Yeah, no, that's different now. So that's about the game. Okay.
Are these
Go
your
ahead.
ways of crushing the ego? I was once well composed, sober, sane, and capable. While this all began when you cast that glance at me by which you took possession of my life. In these games you play, whether these are high stakes or penny ante, it seems that you always hold a joker.
So he always has the trump card, you know. And this is the game that he plays. He gives us a sideways glance, and that is enough to sort of attract us towards him. And then he plays another game where he just neglects you. He does not even look at you. He will behave as if you do not exist. And that is the time when you really, you pine for him, and there is a lot of crying within. And saying this, I remember again Adi Kaka, Adi Senior, once again many years back when he had come to the center, Adi would say, you know, that Baba's personality was so awesome that no photographer, no photo, no nothing can capture that personality. The whatever you call the aura, but it's not aura, it's the halo, it may not be a halo. His own personality was so awesome that we would pine to be with him and to be near him. And there was a time in Adi's life when Baba would ignore him, would neglect him. So he would create some excuses to come to Mehrazad from Khushru quarters. Khushru quarters is the trust office where Adi was stationed as the secretary. So he would run to Baba for some petty reason just to get a side glance of Baba. And Baba would rebuke him directly or through somebody. Tell Adi, why did he come? Can he not send a message? What is so important? Why is he wasting his time? Why is he wasting petrol in coming here? And Baba would really, you know, what is it called? Rebuke him. You know, and Adi would, this is what Adi said. He would go back to the trust office, lock himself in a toilet, and cry out his heart. He would just cry because see that pining is so great that he wants to have Baba's companionship and he cannot. And then later on, Adi said that when Baba dropped his body, because this would happen during Baba's last years, and Adi says that it was good, it was Baba's mercy that he kept me aloof, that he kept me away from Baba so that I could function with poise and equanimity after Baba dropped his body. Otherwise, he said, I would have lost control over my mind. I don't know what I would have done had I been so dependent upon Baba, had I been so attached to Baba. I don't know how I would have functioned. So that is one thing which I remember, that pining is so much. Another story that I remember is of Rano Geli. I have not read it, Soumya narrated to me, that there was a period of time when Baba would neglect to see Rano, just the same way as he would do to Adi. And constant neglect, constant, why did you come? You should not have done that, whatever. He would turn his face away. Means whenever Rano would come, he would, as we say, look through her, as if she is not existing, as if she is not there at all. And Rano initially was feeling like, a lump of, what? You felt, my God, I mean, how can I live here? I want to take my life. I want to run away from here. How could I live in such a situation? But then some very positive thought struck her, and which is a very good learning for each one of us. She says, that the very fact that Baba is taking the trouble of neglecting me and looking away from me, and not, that shows that he's thinking of me. See how our mind functions, because you cannot avoid or neglect somebody unless you are thinking about that person. And the more you avoid or neglect, it means that the more you are thinking about that. So with that positivity, she passed over that period of time. And then again, as everything with Baba, everything settled down. So I think it's a great learning for each one of us, that if we are avoided by somebody in the family or in office environment or whatever it is, let us look at it positively, that the very fact that somebody is neglecting us, that somebody is avoiding us, it shows that it shows that somebody is actually thinking about me, concentrating on me much more than on the others. All right, Dilshad has a question.
Jai Baba Cyrus.
Jai Baba Dilshad, follow ji.
Jai Baba Cyrus ji, am I
Yes.
audible?
Yeah, very much.
Jai Baba Soumya.
Jai Baba.
My question, when I often hear about this Baba, playing a fast one while, playing Larisk and, cheating. So
Yes.
would it be obvious and people who are playing with him would notice it? And
Oh yes.
and
Yes.
and then they would be complaining, or maybe there would be a competition spirit.
No, actually, no, there won't be a complaint, but people would notice. Sometimes he would do it very slyly without anybody knowing, and sometimes he would do it very openly and everybody knows about it. And I remember an instance where I think something is wrong with, am I audible? Am I visible? Something is going wrong with am I audible?
Yes.
Am I visible as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then something is going wrong on my screen. But anyway, thank you. I remember an instance where Dr. Ghani, being Baba's school friend, you can say, we call it Langotia, in our crude language. He also did some cheating. And of course, Baba was not noticing it, but Baba notices everything. Nothing escapes Baba's attention. So when he did that, Baba just stopped the game and said, I want to narrate a story. I want to tell a story. There's one mic open. I don't know whether it is Dilshad's or not, but my screen has gone off from me. Okay. So Baba says, I'm going to now tell a story. And this is the story that he says, Baba says that there was a master, and master suddenly got up. He was in a meeting, And he said he just got up and started walking out of the hall. And so the followers also followed. Now, as the master was walking through a marketplace, there was a shop, a sweet meat shop. So he just picked up a peda, we call it a sweet meat, barfi, whatever, and popped it into his mouth. And when he did that, those following him also did the same thing, you know. And so the master went on age, forward. And after some time, the master came to what is a bakery, a bakery. So here also master picked up a cookie or a biscuit or something and popped it in his mouth. And the disciples, the 3 or 4 disciples following him, they also did the same thing. They still went further, and then there was a what we call as a blacksmith. A blacksmith is one who works on the coal, you know, koila, iron. So iron is being, you know, molded into a certain, melted and molded into a certain shape. And you can do that only with very hot charcoal, coal. So the master goes there, picks up the coal, hot, burning, red coal, and puts it in his mouth and walks off. And he looks behind and tells the disciples, why don't you imitate? Why don't you do that? So immediately, Dr. Ghani got his message that just because Baba is doing this, you cannot take the liberty of doing what Baba is doing. I hope I'm coming across to you. Said that Baba is the master, he can do anything. Okay, Dilshan?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hesitate to say this, but sometimes I think I would have been better off never to have met you. Oh no, had I heard of you sooner, I would have rushed to greet you that much earlier. Yours is the matchless game. Whether I'm in a whirlpool, a cyclone, or a swan, it all has an enduring quality which makes me say, either help me to bear with your ways, or else you will have to bear with me, an impatient weakling.
How beautiful. Even though there was so much of difficulty for the Mandli to live with the master, to live with Meher Baba, they always say that life with Baba was not easy, but it was joyful. It was not easy, but it was also joyful. That means in spite of a difficult life, they enjoyed being with Baba. So here, this chapter ends the game. The ends with this, you know, that either help me to bear with your ways, help me to see that I sail through your ways, or else you will have to bear with me, an impatient weakling. In Baba's Darbar, we are all weaklings. So we are praying, we are beseeching Baba that you either give me the strength and the courage and the wherewithal to overcome your ways, to bear your ways, or otherwise you will have to bear me. Having said this, I remember a ghazal. I don't remember the actual lines of the ghazal. At the Bombay Center, at the by Bengali Girls High School, we had called Lata Limaye for a ghazal program. Now she is very old. When she was very young, like a very small girl, you know, she would be going to Baba and she would be singing before Baba in Guru Prasad, and Baba used to appreciate her songs, her ghazals. And so we had invited her some 2, 3, 4 years before, and she sang many ghazals. And one of them, which touched me, again, I'm not sure of the actual line or the wordings, but what it said was that irrespective of who you are, the lover is talking about the beloved and saying whatever your shararat means mischief, whatever your harkate, whatever your mijaj means nakhre, what we call as attitude. In today's life, we say, oh, he is having attitude. she is having attitude. Irrespective of whatever your attitude is, whatever your harkate is, whatever your nakhre, these are the words used. Nakhra, we understand nakhre. Whatever your nakhras are, all that is manzoor, all that is kabul. In other words, whatever so-called behavior you may exhibit towards me, I am prepared to accept all this. In Sufi terminology, it is called Naz. I'm going to read to you Naz and Niyaz. Naz and Niyaz. So this is a small paragraph on Naz and Niyaz. It is from Lord Meher, volume number 11, page number is given over there. 4323. But it is from the original Lord Meher, the grey book, the one which was published abroad. Because I generally follow that in our daily mails that you get, and most of you must be getting. So it is that. So now what has Baba got to say about Naz? We call it Nakra, and beloved meaning I'm talking about the divine beloved. I'm talking about the master. I'm talking about the Lord. He will be at the height of doing all these nakras. And we as lovers are expected to dance to his tunes, irrespective of whatever, Naz maybe. Okay, go ahead.
Today, I want to explain Naz and Niyaz.
Baba is saying this.
In olden days, Sufis always stressed this point about Naz and Niyaz, Shama and Parwana, candle and moth. Later on, these terms became so common that every Muslim poet, big or small, started using them. Now, Naz literally means nakra, coquetry, hard to please, never satisfied, and is said to be one of the chief attributes of the divine beloved. Sufis refer to God and perfect masters as the perfect personification of Naz, always full of Naz. Why? Because they are independent and indifferent. Beparwa. No care. Parwa.
Okay.
No care for anything, completely detached. Now you might think that God, who is the source of everything, and the Kutubs, who are God personified, how could they be beparwa, indifferent? It sounds absurd. It is because God is absolutely independent and indifferent. Niyaz means to dance to every naz, whim, outrageous demand of the beloved, to his every mood. Niyaz does not mean obedience, but surrenderance. To carry out the nakra of God and the kutubs is a great thing. It means to dance to every tune of the beloved, who is absolutely independent and indifferent. So also is God. And a lover of God is dependent on every whim of the beloved. It sounds absurd that a kutub is indifferent and independent and his lover is totally dependent. Dependent not on the kutub, but on every independent nakra of the kutub. But this is so.
So here, because it came to the Katie, can you just mute your mic if you don't mind? Katie Mystery.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem, dear. No problem.
I'm joining after a long time, so sorry.
No, nothing to be sorry about. Just mute your mic.
I don't know what to do.
Oh, then I am sorry. Okay, never mind now. Never mind.
Sorry.
So that doesn't matter. So what we are seeing here is the Naz and the Niyaz. The Naz are the nakras, unreasonable, sometimes illogical demands and requirements of the master. And the disciple, the follower, the lover has to fulfill that. That means, in other words, he has to dance to every tune without asking Why and what? Why are you doing this? What are you doing this? I'm reminded of a story. Baba and Erach and maybe many other Mandli people, they had gone, they always go sometimes for must tour and all that. I'm not sure whether this was one of the must tours or elsewhere. And during the evening, they had some altercation, some kind of a rigjik, we call it, jhanjat, with one of the vegetable vendors. Erach had talked something loudly, something so-called rudely with one of the vegetable vendors in the evening, because he must have gone out to buy something for Baba, whatever. So this thing, all this is over now. In the middle of the night, at 1:30, you can imagine, Baba gets up and tells Erach that I want to have, I'm in a mood to eat coriander. Coriander leaf, dhania, we call it. I'm in a mood to eat coriander leaf. Now imagine, at 1:30 in the morning, or you can call it night, when everything is closed, how is Erach going to bring the coriander leaf from where? Because the market is closed. He doesn't know the place. It's a different place. But Erach being Erach, very resourceful, very obedient. So he says, okay, Baba, I'll try. So he goes out. And this try is a very important word. Baba himself had said, that I may give any order, even to the point where Baba says, if I tell you to fly, don't say, Baba, how can I fly? I'm not a bird. And when I say fly, you must flap your hands like this as if you are flying, as you must make an attempt to fly. I know you are not going to fly, but when I say fly, you must do like this. So to that extent, the nas of the beloved is. So Erach goes out and somehow he finds out that there is one person who lives in that particular shop, and he sells all this, coriander and all kinds of vegetables. And the shutter is down and the person is staying just over there in that shop. So he knocks at the door. And obviously it was in the middle of the night, so nobody opens. So he knocks again, he knocks for 3 times and all that. And then there is a sound from inside. Who is it? And he says, yes, it's me. I have a request. Please, can you open the door? So what is it? No, can you open the door? I want to ask you for a favor. So the gentleman opens the door and sees whom? Erach. And he is the person who had a fight with. Oh, you again? Now what do you want now? Now see the presence of mind of Erach. You must appreciate that. So Erach immediately turns very soft, very docile, very pleading, and he says words to the effect that whatever that happened in the evening, you can forget about it. But my big brother, his last elder brother, his last wish is that he wants to eat some coriander leaves. Can you please oblige me with the coriander leaves, please? Now, when he uses the word last wish, obviously the interpretation to that poor fellow is that the elder brother is about to die. When we say last wish, what do we say? That he's going, gone. And so he said, oh, sure. So he gives a bunch of coriander leaves to Erach, and Erach happily runs to Baba and washes it and offers the coriander leaves to Baba. And Baba very joyfully, plucks leaves from the stem and eats it from the stalk in the middle of the night, sitting on the bed. So why this story just struck me as to how the master can have any kind of nakras, orders, and how the disciple, the disciple has to dance to the tune of each nas. So now we still have a little time. Maybe we can read a 3rd chapter. So let's go through it.
My title, My Eyes, Your Tears. It was a period of crisis, a long period that drained all my energy. At one moment, when life and death seemed to hang in the balance, I was shaken and felt afraid. I could then not help but let loose the floodgates of my heart. I wept and wept. I felt as though I was walking on a thin, frayed tightrope across the dark chasm. In my heart, I knew that you had accepted me, but I am not a brave person. Should I not admit this? Yes, I am a weakling. But you, the God man, be praised. You are for all, whether feeble or strong.
So here, we all go through such times in our life. When we are really so perplexed as to what to do, where to go. Now, Bal Natu ji, being Baba's Mandali, is saying this, that I was as if I was walking a tight rope. And I knew for sure one thing, that's a great thing which all of us should know, that I belong to you and that you are as much for the strong as for the weak and the feeble like me. So that should be the conviction, not just a confidence, but conviction that although I am feeble, although I am weak, I belong to Baba and Baba will come to my rescue. Baba will help me. But Baba's help would be as he feels right, not as we feel right. That is to be clearly understood, that even if we die, even if something happens to us, he knows what is best for us in the soul's reckoning. And once we have surrendered to him, then there should be no thinking of is he doing the right thing for us? He will only do what is best for us.
During that time, being unnerved and fearful, I began to thrust my wishes upon you instead of accepting your will.
That is what we do. We are trusting what we think and feel is right upon Baba. Do this, please help me with this, please do whatever it may be. We are trusting on him instead of relying on his wisdom to give us what is right for us.
Although I knew that through the events of my life, you were providing me with the best of opportunities to come closer to you, my responses to your love were poor and superficial. So, fool that I am, in my agony, I sometimes even doubted your godness. Yet, your acceptance of me was unconditional.
Means even though we may at times doubt the stature and the height of his, what you can say, the stature of his, being the God man, being God in human form, being the highest of the high, being the avatar of the age, being the Sahib-e-Zaman, being the whole and the soul for us. In spite of that, we might doubt that sometimes, but he would never leave our daman. We talk tall that, oh, hold on, Baba says, hold on to my daman till the very end. We try, we attempt to do that. But the fact of the case is, when we have seen it in many, many, many people's life, that there were times when the dip was there, we tend to not have complete and full faith on him. And yet, these are the times we realize that it was he who was carrying us through. It was he who was holding on to us.
On several occasions, I tried to keep up a cheerful front, telling others, I am fine. But this did not last long. As soon as I found myself alone, streams of tears started rolling down my cheeks. I felt ashamed and crestfallen. I hid my face in my palms and sobbed. When I tried to wipe away my tears, what a surprise awaited me. The touch of those tears gave me an intense feeling that they were not my tears. The tears were not mine. They were yours, of your love. What compassion! With a choked throat and in an inaudible tone, I mumbled, sorry. I felt that through these soothing tears, you were asking me, don't you trust me? Somehow, I managed to say, please forgive me. I could not help it. I was sorry that I made you suffer for me. But at that instant, fear vanished like a mist before the bright, shining sun, and I became my normal self.
So Baba himself has said, oh, okay, go ahead.
Those sacred tears surely cheered my dying spirit, and my whole being reverberated in wonder. It was a revelation that whenever I weep, the tears are mine, but the eyes are mine, but yours are the tears.
So such a beautiful chapter here also, where Baba himself has said that he has a universal mind. That means any mind, individual mind, which is suffering, which is going through the ups and downs in life, is automatically and simultaneously reflected in his universal mind. And therefore, as this is how I would look at it, the easiest way to make Baba happy is to be ourselves happy in whatever we are going through, for a simple reason that our little minuscule, tiny one drop of happiness is actually contributing to his happiness, for a simple reason that he has a universal mind and we have a finite, limited, separate mind. So the best thing would be, as Hafiz would say, and Baba keeps on repeating that, that everything in this world, is an illusion. The suffering is an illusion. Even the happiness is an illusion. So why should I not be always happy? As simple as that. And we all know that happiness is not connected with having or not having anything. Happiness is a state of mind which we cultivate through proper balanced sense of being. And once we decide that no matter what, I am going to be happy, then I don't think anybody or anything can make us unhappy. And even if it does make us unhappy, we will try to pull back to happiness immediately with this underlying thought that it is all an illusion. All that I am going through is nothing but a bhas. Bhas means illusion. Illusion means not a reality. It is temporary. It is phenomenal. It is transient. It is impermanent. So why should I not always have a happy countenance so that I feel nice, people in my surrounding feel nice, and above all, Baba feels happy because I am happy. So I think we end over here. If you have to give, I don't know whether, oh, it's already 6:31. If anybody wants to say something, share something, ask something, you are welcome, because we'll try to, as I said, experiment with other than Baba's words and see how well we gel with that. And if it doesn't, then we'll shift back to Baba's words. Okay, anybody has anything to say? Nothing. So then we call it a day. Thank you, beloved Baba. And thanks to all of you. Avatar Meher Baba.
Baba ki jai.
Jai Baba. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Baba Ravi.
Jai Baba.